All right, our first story, we got this from the Daily Caller. NBC deletes tweet comparing immigrants to trash.
Yes, this happened.
I didn't expect it to go this far so quickly.
So fast.
Ron DeSantis sent 50 illegal immigrants to Martha's Vineyard, and it was like a political nuclear bomb. Take a look at this. NBC tweeted, Florida Governor DeSantis sending asylum seekers to Martha's Vineyard is like, quote, me taking my trash out and just driving to different areas where I live and just throwing my trash there. A founding member of a foundation which helps refugees says.
Wow.
That is not only indicative of NBC News' what they're willing to publish, because they didn't need to choose that quote, but also these NGOs, these nonprofits that claim to help these people, you see what they really think about them. It reminds me of when that Osborne woman was on The View or whatever.
Kelly Osborne.
Yeah.
Kelly Osborne, and she was like,
right
if
now.
you deport these people, who's going to clean your toilet? And they were like, you remember that?
Yeah.
That's what she said, right?
Specifically, she asked Donald Trump, going against Donald Trump's immigration policy, quote, who will clean your toilet when you deport
He should have been like, the white woman that I hired to clean my toilet. Next question.
Yeah, the American.
Another thing not people don't know is many refugees from multiple countries, most countries that you come in here as an asylum seeker, you're required to take for a week an antihelminthic medication that starts with an I. You're required by the CDC to take that medication for a week.
That's interesting.
CDC,
And that's because you're talking about ivermectin. It's because it's a worm stunner.
Because worms are so common in many of the asylum seekers that they're required by the CDC to take it for a week.
Wait. Really? So asylum seekers coming in for parasites are given ivermectin?
Yes.
Wow.
Mandatory for a week.
Wow, that's
you can look it up on the CDC website. It's just to look at refugees, the CDC refugee therapeutic treatments.
Yeah, ivermectin is an incredible medication that has saved countless numbers of lives, used billions of times, and it comes from the soil in Japan. And we could get into this topic. We're going to get into this topic a little bit, but we're just seeing.
There it is.
Yeah, look at that. All Middle Eastern, Asian, North African, Latin American, and Caribbean refugees should receive ivermectin 2 doses, 200 micrograms per kilogram?
Yeah.
MCG.
Orally, once a day for 2 days before departure to the U.S.
Yep.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Well,
required CDC.
we got a doctor here, so.
There we go.
Yeah, and it's crazy. What are we going to do now? Call it horse medicine and say the CDC is forcing refugees?
One of the things that bother me with that whole horse medicine thing is every pharmacological agent has a veterinary application. Why aren't we talking about Pepsids? A veterinary Pepsid. It's a veterinary pill. You can get it over the counter at a pharmacy.
We talked about this with epinephrine.
Yeah.
Sheep epinephrine is cheaper than the human epinephrine. Granted, the human EpiPens are like single dose instant shots or whatever, whereas like you can buy a vial of the sheep stuff. But
don't do it. Do not do it. Do not take veterinary medication. The point is, though, why this one medicine? I really tried to figure out where it came from. I guess one couple tried it, and that there were multiple calls to poison control centers asking questions about it. But all I can find is one case.
Well,
the Rolling Stone did a very
man.
big investigative piece about how people in a hospital in Oklahoma were ODing on it so much that, of course, it filled up the emergency rooms, and the whole story was absolutely made up out of nowhere. The Rolling Stones should be absolutely disgraced with themselves and just run out of town, run out of business with the way that they slandered this medication that has saved so many lives on this earth.
Journalistic process.
I mean, river blindness. I've never been a fan since the get-go with COVID that people have been pushing these therapeutics, and I felt like it was very tribal.
Me too.
But I do want to say I am very impressed in how we immediately shifted from a immigration story right into ivermectin.
And also,
why do you know about Chinese liver flukes in the eye? Why do you know about that?
The river blindness stuff?
Yeah.
Because when the whole ivermectin thing comes out.
They discussed it. Okay.
Well, it's all in the news, and it's
that's a rare illness.
Is it like in the river they would swim into the eyeball when they're swimming underwater?
I don't know how they guys. It was called a Chinese liver fluke. We used to look for it in the eye. I don't know how it gets there. Yeah.
But I think in Africa it's really common or something.
Is it?
And so ivermectin is like a UN certified like.
Did people?
But I want to stress this too. I really do think that when it came to COVID, I did not. When I got COVID, this is the craziest thing. I didn't want it. I said I didn't want it.
Yeah.
They gave me monoclonal antibodies. That
worked.
patched me up right. And then 4 days later, they were like, well, we're your doctor. We prescribed it. And I was like, but I feel fine now. Yeah. And so even when I went on Rogan, I said, I'm not, confident in this. Because I know there's a lot of studies, but there's a lot of contradictory
Well, let me just tell you.
Just real quick, my point was, the Daily Beast still ended up writing that I was the poster boy for ivermectin, despite me constantly being like, nah.
Well, let me add to that being not. Back when we had nothing to offer, it's like, all right, whatever. I saw it used a ton. And it was like, people that were getting sick just kept getting sick. They got worse. And people that were going to get well, got well. And I don't know if the medicine made any difference. As opposed to now with Paxlovid or monoclonal antibodies, they're better the next day. I mean, it's just pow, they get better immediately.
The Paxlovid stuff works.
Oh my goodness. Well, too well, actually, because they get these rebounds that are kind of common. And I'm wondering if it's affecting the immune response. My daughter took Paxlovid, better in 2 days, and then was not rebound, but reinfected 6 weeks later.
Wow.
And so, or 2 months later. And it was like, she should have still been immune.
But that's the drug that was also approved under emergency protocol. Is that correct? And I think some people are also saying that their side effects is this taste in their mouth of crap that they can't get out from this side effect. And also, there's a lot of people who took it, like Joe Biden, and I think another very prominent politician that had a rebound with this sickness. So still everything's not known. And when it comes to the antibodies, we got to remember in January, the Biden administration got rid of antibodies and told everyone not to use it and prevented people from using it when it could have saved lives, which is absolutely insane.
I wanted to ask you, do you know the name of the phenomenon when you taste crap in your mouth and everything tastes like crap?
You mean from Paxlovid?
It's not just from Paxlovid. There's a word for it.
Syndrome?
Yeah,
Dysgeusia, I think it's called.
Is that what it is?
Dysgeusia?
Because I remember people were getting COVID,
yeah,
and then like there's a video of a woman crying saying everything tastes like sewage.
That's rare. That's rare.
Yeah.
Usually it just doesn't taste or it tastes salty.
Dysgeusia is the distortion of the sense of taste. Is that kind of like disgusting? Dysgeusia?
I guess.
Word, yeah.
Hey, did they ever figure out what COVID was doing to people? Because I heard that it was somehow causing the red blood cells to not be able to transport oxygen.
Yes. That's probably true. Probably due to microvascular injury. This something about the spike protein and the lining of the endothelium. That's where the story is. We don't have it fully worked out yet, but it was causing our tiniest vessels to dysfunction. So nutrients and oxygen and immune cells. Yeah. So it's a lot of the brain stuff we've been worrying about is because of that, the microvasculature. In fact, it's pretty well established that the olfactory stuff, the smell stuff, is from this microvascular process.
Let's
the brain fog.
Just one more click. There was another study. There was another
Am
study.
I rooting your program?
No. I just want to say one more thing because this is such an important thing.
I can't stop.
We're building the roads as we go.
Just really quick, there's a new study released in the New England Journal of Medicine, a study from Israel that talked about how Paxlovid had no benefits to people under 65. That's the early studies
So generally with COVID today, we know what we're doing with vaccines over the age of 75 and Paxlovid over 65. Otherwise, we don't really fully know what we're doing.
What is Paxlovid?
By the sense of from a clinical and scientific standpoint, we're very clear. We're very solid. Over 75 and over 65. Under that,
I'm gonna throw a lasso around this and yank it back to the.
What are you gonna make hook out for me? You can just pull me off the stage.
Pull it back to what's going on with the immigration stuff.
Yes. But that. Wait a minute.
But we'll get back into this too. I don't want to just shut that down.
I want to know what Paxlovid is.
But we actually just have a handful of other stories related to the immigration crisis.
It's the new Pfizer drug.
Let me see if I can. I want to pull up this tweet and kind of wrap up the segment.
So good.
This is John Hayward who tweeted 1. Sending 50 migrants to Martha's Vineyard is like the Holocaust. 2. Ha ha ha. You just gave us a chance to show how compassionate we are. 3. We demand emergency assistance. 4. Get these damn migrants off our island. 5. Call the National Guard all in 24 hours.
This is the red pilling of what migrancy can become, overly compassionate to a destructive purpose. The idea of letting people that are suffering in and helping them is great, but when you actually see what that means for an infrastructure that can't handle it, it can become destructive.
No, you're wrong. The infrastructure can handle it. Go on Airbnb right now and you look at Martha's Vineyard. There's enough houses that are available. There's enough rooms that are available. The Obamas have enough mansions that are available. And someone said today on Twitter that, and it caught my attention. I'm sorry?
Mansions being one in Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah, of course. Of course. But someone said something on Twitter that really caught my attention today, and it said that the Democrats have a new immigration policy. And it's, quote, you don't got to go home, but you can't stay here. And that's exactly what happened in Martha's Vineyard. And DeSantis put it right on their doorsteps, and they showed what kind of big hypocrites they are.
It's hilarious.
Unfortunately, it's a violation of basic moral, certainly Kantian moral principles of using people as a means to an end.
But
it's a problem on all sides.
Yeah, I agree. But the issue is that Biden has been doing it. The Biden administration has been trafficking children.
Yeah.
And so, but here's the way I see it. For DeSantis, we know there's a political stunt in Martha's Vineyard specifically. I'm not a fan of any of these people doing it. Now New York City is sending them back to Florida. It's just outright crazy. But here's the funny thing. As they rag on Abbott and DeSantis over this, Biden's been sending the migrants to New York City. So they completely ignore the problem when it's Biden doing it, sending them to New York. Then as soon as Abbott or DeSantis does it, all of a sudden now it's a humanitarian crisis.
Now, is that them or is that the media?
Oh, the media. But they are the media. I mean,
yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah.
But this blaming like Biden or DeSantis, like, isn't it the cartels that are running human trafficking across our border?
It is leftist NGOs with U.S. influence going down and telling them the border's open and jobs are waiting for you.
That's right. You had mentioned before the show that it might be big money involved. I don't know if Soros.
There's videos. We've seen this during the big caravans of people who look American talking and working with these people.
Yeah.
And they're being told that you can come up, no one will stop you, and there's jobs waiting.
You were saying Ami Horowitz.
Yeah, Ami Horowitz has some good videos on this. He embedded himself. He said there's rail cars of food and there's a hospital and a school. It all travels with them. I mean, it's thousands of people going thousands of miles. What do you think? You just rely on the kindness of strangers as you walk into their town?
Foraging and farming as they go.
Yeah.
It's a business.
So someone's profiting off of it. They're like getting paid.
It's human trafficking, essentially what's happening here.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's big business in the U.S. behind it for cheap labor, things like that. We've seen that in the past.
Interesting.
Well, Bernie Sanders called it a Koch brothers plan,
right.
a billionaire's plan to get a bunch of cheap labor to, of course, lower wages and increase the housing costs for everyone else.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.